Hello YouTube, welcome back. So today we're going to be starting on a new project and we're going to be making a Viking shipwright's axe. This is something I've been wanting to make for quite a while, and these were used for trimming planks and strakes for shipbuilding and probably for construction as well. So we're going to be making this out of wrought iron with a welded steel edge, and the wrought iron I'm using is recycled paddle rods from the canal. So this is leftover material from jobs I've done for the yard. So we shall start by heating up the wrought iron, and you can see the split grain on the end of one of these bars, so I'm going to cut that off. So literally chisel in and then go over the cutting face and amputate. So this is quite coarse wrought iron, so it needs to be worked at quite a high heat to stop it from delaminating. And I'm using my heaviest hammer, and I am starting to forge down 30mm round bar to a tapered flat section. So obviously this is sped up a little bit. So the trick to using a heavy hammer is to just let it drop. Don't bring it down with any force of your own, because that's what hurts your arm. So I am beveling it at the same time. And I am working to an archaeological drawing. You will find a link for this in the description. This particular one is based on a find from Hedeby, which I believe is in Denmark. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I will forge one end to a sharp taper with a rounded end. Now, forging the taper, I was mainly hammering on the narrow end of the bevel, and I will then go back and straighten it so that the bevel has the flat line and the spine has the curved line. So with the first side done, I will cut the blank off the parent bar, and I will then taper the other end. Again, I am tapering on the bevel side and dressing the bevel as I go to save it upsetting. And the reason I'm doing this on the bevel is simply that I find it easier to do it that way. If I was tapering from the spine, yes, the sharp end would be flat as I need it to be, but I would spend longer dressing the bevel for straightness and thickness, I believe. So I am forging it on the bevel side and then dressing it down. I hope that makes sense. I'm not particularly good at explaining it, but hopefully the talking pictures will make sense. So with the profile and the bevels roughed out, I will put a sharp edge on the bevel. It doesn't have to be particularly accurate. I am literally doing that so that the O1 tool steel, which you can see here, can weld to it. This will basically form a welding plane rather than a shear plane on the two contact surfaces. So I will do the same with a piece of O1 tool steel. Stick a bevel on there, and obviously when you bevel things they tend to curve backwards because you're compressing the material on the point. So that needs to be straightened on a regular basis, and at that stage, when that's forged out, I will offer up the blank and mark up on the O1 tool steel where it needs to be cut off. So then I could chisel this. I'm using an angle grinder, and with a flat disc, I will just knock off the scale on the welding face of it. So as always, before welding, I am piling up the fire. The taller the fire, the better it will be for forge welding. Have a look at my forge welding video where I explain about the layers of the fire and everything. Basically, the taller the fire, the bigger the neutral zone and the less chance of burning your steel. So I did mess around a bit with some wire to try and get it to try and get the two parts to hold together. In the end, I figured I would simply tack weld the end together, and that would provide me with stability to forge weld the rest into place. So flux quite heavily because it's carbon steel I'm welding with, and then start welding the rest of it in place. I'm just following along the line. Now at this stage I am just welding it together. I'm not making any effort to blend it. What I will do is I will weld the edge along the whole length of the blank, and then I will go back for a second pass for a blending run. Now, because this is a trimming axe, I am doing a laid weld, and the carbon steel is laid on the inside of the blank, the inside being the part which contacts the wood which is being trimmed. And that just means that there will always be a carbon steel edge in contact with the wood, no matter how much you sharpen it. So welded and blended, and I will pay special attention to both tips. That's the back end there. And here is the finished blank. Well, here is the welded up blank. So you can still see the line between the carbon steel and the wrought iron on the stage. It should grind out. It is quite well welded. So at this stage I will dress the profile. So the spine needs to be curved, the cutting edge needs to be straight, and I want a nice straight flat bevel. So I'm using a wide faced hammer for this because the overlapping blows will nullify any hammer marks, as long as you're accurate, obviously. If you go at it like a bull in a china shop, then you are going to have hammer marks, so just keep an eye on that. And at this stage I will start curving up the front point. Now I believe that this was curved up to avoid it digging into the wood. If you came in at the wrong angle, then it would simply glance off rather than stabbing into the wood. That's my theory. If there are any carpenters or traditional woodworkers watching this, let me know in the comments if I'm right with this assumption. And I'll just give the back end of the blade a bit of a straighten on the spine. Just out any hammer marks, give it a straighten. Try and make sure that the thickness is roughly even. I mean, any discrepancies in the thickness will come out when it's ground anyway. So here is the blank for the cutting edge of the axe. So it looks a bit like Alibaba's slipper. Bear with me on that. Next week we will be making the eye, and you will see that the eye is raised slightly above, and it will be, I'm probably going to do a cleft weld to attach the eye, so split it down the middle and simply sandwich the blade in there. Maybe some lugs to blend the corner welds in as well. We'll see. So thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos I produce, please consider donating on Patreon. Here is this week's list of Patreon supporters. Thanks a lot, guys. Couldn't be doing it without you. And I will see you all on the next one. Bye.